Ethical issues. Welcome back to the Ed Show. This is a story that I think needs more attention. Similar ethical problems have forced other justices to resign in the past. Yet Clarence Thomas remains on the bench of our nation's highest court. Just months after Thomas attended a political fundraiser sponsored by the Koch brothers, the New York Times reports on the relationship between Justice Thomas and a major right-wing benefactor named Harlan Crow. Mr. Crow, a Texas real estate tycoon, gave Thomas's wife, Virginia, $500,000 to start a Tea Party group, Liberal Central. The group's goal is to attack liberal causes like health care reform. Mr. Crow has also given gifts to Justice Thomas. He has financed a library project dedicated to the judge, and he's paid millions to restore a seafood cannery that Justice Thomas's mother worked at. Pretty good friend, wouldn't you say? The two men have also spent time together at events with prominent Republicans. Now, 2 years ago, in a voting rights case, the Supreme Court ruled against a right-wing organization that has ties to Harlan Crow. The decision was 8-1. Now, I won't make you name the 8 justices that ruled against Mr. Crow's organization, but take a guess as to who ruled in favor of it. Joining me now is Marjorie Cohn. She's a professor at Thomas Jefferson School of Law and the author of Cowboy Republic, 6 Ways the Bush Gang Has Defied the Law. Welcome. Great to have you with us tonight.
My pleasure, Ed.
What do you make of this? Is Thomas too politically connected, and are there too many favors here?
Absolutely, Ed. Judges have a duty to refrain from any kind of behavior that has even the appearance of impropriety. And you remember the Citizens United case? One of the worst cases in the history of the Supreme Court, which gave corporations the right to put unlimited amounts of money into campaigns, into election campaigns, which is totally going to change our electoral system. And Citizens United spent $100,000 in TV ads to attack senators who voted against Clarence Thomas's confirmation. And then Clarence Thomas was the 5th vote that decided in favor of Citizens United.
So does this relationship with Mr. Crow pose a problem under the Code of Ethics?
The federal judges are bound by a code of ethics. Now, the Supreme Court is not bound by that code, although Justices Breyer and Kennedy have said that they follow it. And 100 law professors have signed a letter trying to get Congress to require that the Supreme Court also come under this federal code. But right now, each Supreme Court justice can decide whether to recuse himself or herself, to say, I'm not going to decide this case because I may have
And why hasn't he done that? Why hasn't he recused himself from Supreme Court cases where he has all these kinds of ties?
Because he's sovereign. Nobody is higher than he is. None of his colleagues can tell him he has to recuse himself. You remember Scalia, who went, I think it was duck hunting with Cheney, and then voted in favor of Cheney in the lawsuit against Cheney. Scalia and Thomas both were attending these receptions by the Koch brothers, and they are above any law. They can decide whether to recuse themselves or not. The only remedy is impeachment for high crimes and misdemeanors, and unfortunately, that's not going to happen.
Is this the most activist judge you've ever seen? Put it in perspective for us.
You know, I don't believe in this term activist judges.
Well, he's politically active. I mean, he is connected to big money. His wife is connected to big money. You're saying tonight that there's a code of ethics that could have been violated, but he's beyond reproach. Nobody can touch him. So the question begs, I mean, the public needs to know, your opinion, is he the most politically active justice that we've seen in some time?
Well, I think he's one of the most unethical justices. Activism is in the eyes of the beholder. The Constitution is a very short document, and so any judge that interprets it is acting actively.
And Marjorie, do you think, I don't mean to interrupt you, but do you think a judge at a lower court would be out of a job on this?
Absolutely, in one hot second. Yes, but he's on the Supreme Court and no one can touch him. Only impeachment.
And why isn't anyone in the Senate Judiciary Committee making this an issue?
I don't know why they're not making it an issue. Now, keep in mind that impeachment has to happen in the House of Representatives. It's not going to happen in a Republican-led House of Representatives, so that's not going to happen. But I think that the more shows like yours and people write articles, the more things that come out, the more that embarrass and humiliate him. You know, remember that Justice Abe Fortas was nominated by Johnson to be Chief Justice, and he was taking a lot of gifts from rich benefactors improperly, and he was forced to resign, basically, in disgrace for things that were much less than what Clarence Thomas is doing.
I was going to ask you, do you think that Clarence Thomas's activities parallel that gentleman?
Yes, in fact, I think they're even worse. I mean, you know, the things with Crow, the things with the Koch brothers, those are bad. But when I learned that he actually voted the way he did in the Citizens United case, after the Citizens United had put all of this money, $100,000, into his campaign, and this was, you know, 20 years ago, so I can't remember, 1991, I guess it was. I'm not very good at math. All those years ago, $100,000 is worth a lot more today.
Sure.
To me, you know, 1 + 1 = 2. Highly improper. At the very minimum, the appearance of impropriety, and I think people should be all over him. He makes the highest law of the land. His decisions affect our lives, and certainly the Citizens United decision, which is a horrific decision, is going to affect us for years and years to come.
It certainly goes beyond balls and strikes, in this broadcaster's opinion.
It
Marjorie
certainly
Cohn,
does.
thank you for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
You bet. John McCain is playing politics with the wildfires in his home state of Arizona. There's a special place for that kind of insensitivity. Psycho Talk. Stay with us.